I believe that when you truly know yourself, you win. Welcome to On the Daily, the podcast where we dive real deep into human design, astrology, and your subconscious mind, all with the intention of you building your idea of a big delusional life and an even more delusional business. My name is Danielle McCleary, and I am a master human design and astrology teacher, somatic coach, business mentor, public speaker, and seven-figure entrepreneur. My biggest gift is the ability to see beneath the surface, and I think too many people look outside of themselves for who they should be and what they should be doing. Around here, that is unacceptable. Around here, we break the matrix and really remember who the heck we are underneath all the programming. This podcast will give you all of the tools, mindset, and practical application you'll need to be everything you came here to be in the shiniest way possible. Are you with me? Let's freaking go. Hello, On the Daily fam. Welcome back to the show. We're going to talk about Saturn Return this week. I've had a lot of clients and people in my orbit that are either in their Saturn return, that are starting their Saturn return, that are like very in their Saturn return, and like a lot of people who have just been, like we're about 10 years out of it, and we're just like really starting to just reminisce on the lessons learned from it. So if you are between the ages of 27 and 30, then you are either in your Saturn return or about to be. And I really think that you need to listen to this episode. So here we go. Okay, let's talk about Saturn return. Saturn return is a time in one's life between the ages of like 27 to 30 where your Saturn placement, which is somewhere in your birth chart, will have a return. So the sign that Saturn was in when you were born has come back around and is now back in that sign. And it happens every 27 to 30 years. Okay. So if you were, if you have a Saturn in Pisces or a Saturn in Aries, your Saturn return either is wrapping up or is about to begin. I have a Saturn in Sagittarius, so mine was like what was that? That was like 2017 through 2019, 2020 was really my Saturn return. But if you are anywhere, if your Saturn placement is in Pisces or if your Saturn placement is in Aries, you're either finishing it up, in it, or about to start it. So you're definitely feeling the effects of Saturn return. And Saturn in the zodiac is dad, here to teach us lessons. If the moon is mother and is very emotionally driven and nurturing, and Jupiter is like zaddy or Santa Claus or likes to bring us presents, then Saturn is dad, lessons. Like, here's what you came here to learn. Here are the lessons you came here to learn. Which is, it's never, I don't know. I don't think that Saturn return is fun. I also don't think it needs to be as dramatic as people make it. It actually is a very profound time if you are prepared for it. So I say that because when I went into my Saturn return, I knew it was coming. So I didn't try to grip on for dear life. I surrendered to what was happening. I surrendered to what was. I learned the lessons as they came. And it was crazy while I was in it. But now reflecting back on it almost 10 years later, I'm like, yeah, we're good. Like, it's fine. So, okay. Let's talk. I want to tell you first about my Saturn return and like how it was for me and what happened. And then through that, I'm going to tell you kind of if your Saturn is in Aries, this will be happening for you shortly. So here we go. Okay. So my Saturn return started in, let me think, in April, May 2017. No, that was a lie. It started in March, April 2015. Sorry, 2015. And it ended in April, May 2017. So that was the main part of my transit. Felt it before that, felt it for a little bit after that, but that was the main part of my transit. And the reason I know this is because my Saturn return, a week or so before it started, like 6 months before it started, I had officially left a marriage. We had been separated for a while, but moved all my stuff out, completely cut everything off, moved in with my friend, started a brand new life in West Hollywood, California. That happened. That happened. And it was rough. And I say that we had been separated for a while. We had been apart and separated and, but there's just lingering. Your stuff is still there and you still have joint things and it's just messy. You're in the messy middle. So about 6 months before my Saturn return officially started, I had moved all my stuff out and we severed all joint accounts and joint things and really just went our separate ways and truly got the divorce process started. I was living with my friend at the time in West Hollywood, and I had my dog, and I was a SoulCycle instructor, and I was walking all over the place, and I was single, thriving, single and thriving. Loving every moment of it. I was very excited for my single girl era. Little did I know it was not going to last. And my natal Saturn is in the second house. I have a Saturn in Sagittarius in the second house, which is the house of wealth and finance, but also self-worth. So what you value. And it was a wild time. I was becoming an independent woman. So about a month before my official transit started, which that means that Saturn passed over the same degree. Saturn had returned to Sagittarius and passed over the degree of my natal Sagittarius placement, which I believe is at 24 or 25 degrees Sagittarius. So that happened. About a month before that actually happened, I started dating my son's dad, who was a writer in my SoulCycle class and had asked me out literally the week I moved in with my friend and was starting my single girl era. So that was fun. Asked me out. Let me just tell you, the speed at which I fell in love with this man, the speed at which I just surrendered to this joy and this love and this value of myself that I had been lacking for so long. I did not value myself when I was married because I was not happy. I was happy in this moment. And I was so excited to be valued by someone and have that value mirrored to me so that I then valued myself, which if you heard that, I was valuing myself because I was being valued. Addiction to praise and outside validation, so real still. My Saturn return helped heal that, by the way. I'll get into that. But in that moment, I was so happy because there was this person who saw my value and who just wanted more of me. And I loved that. And because I was so happy and because I was so in love, also my SoulCycle classes were selling out and life was great. It was great. And then I got pregnant 4 months later, very accidentally. And remember that this time while Saturn was in Sagittarius, Neptune was still in Pisces. So there was this Neptunian Piscean energy that was oh my God, dreamy, delusional. We don't need to know each other that well. Let's have a baby. It was very everything is going to work out and everything's going to be amazing, and like not really attached to reality in any way, right? So long-term planning and discipline is a lesson meant to be learned by someone who has the same Saturn, Sagittarius, second house placement as I do. Learning, discipline, long-term planning, long-term solutions, very important. I did not learn that quickly. This was a lesson that took me my entire Saturn return to learn. But like in the moment, I was like, oh my God, we're in love. Hooray. Marriage, babies, let's do it. And we didn't obviously get married. My son's dad and I never got married, but we got pregnant. We decided we were just going to make it work and everything was going to be great. And I remember we had like a very serious conversation too. We were like, look, we just met. This is kind of crazy. We obviously did not plan on getting pregnant, but we did. And if this doesn't work out, like, let's just make sure that like you're a good dad, I'm a good mom, and we're going to stick to that. And we're going to really be good co-parents no matter what, whether we're together or not. Yeah, but that's not going to happen because we're in love. Whee! Pisces, Neptune, delusional, lack of structure, lack of planning, but a lot of self-worth. Very much knew what I valued. I valued someone who was fun. I valued an adventurous spirit. I valued someone who thought as big as I did, and this person did. So we had Owen. Literally on our first date was February 11th, 2015. We had Owen on February 11th, 2016. So quite literally our 1-year anniversary. We had our son. Wild, crazy, insane, in the membrane. I actually can't believe even saying that out loud now. I'm like, I guarantee you my parents were like, oh my gosh, our daughter's lost it. She's lost the plot. I guarantee you that's how they felt. So yeah, that happened. We had our son, but still everything was great. We moved in together. We had a dog. We had another dog. We had our son. We were both successful in our careers. Everything was great. Through this though, I was learning the lesson that I needed to plan for my future. I needed to not live so in the moment, and I needed to actually think about things long term. And actually, having Owen really chose to come at the perfect time, because there is nothing that makes you plan for your future and what you value long term than having a child. And I'm processing this in real time as I say this, because I've always said Owen came here to ground me. And it's just so crazy that was during my Saturn return, because what I learned through having Owen, was, sorry, I'm I'm literally having this revelation as I'm saying this. What I learned from having Owen is he taught me where the ground was. He taught me about long-term planning and discipline and really knowing what I value. That is second house energy, and my Saturn is in my second house. So it's not just money and finance. It's also your self-worth, and it's also your values. I think having Owen really solidified in me, even if I couldn't voice it back then, it really solidified in me that peace and freedom for me and my family would be the value of my life forever. And I always say, if I wouldn't have had a son, I would have been a flight attendant. I would have ended up being a private pilot and just not even having a zip code and just being all over the place, because I'm so Sagittarius. I have Sun, Moon, Uranus, Mercury, and Saturn there. And they're all within a couple degrees of each other. They all sit on gate 1 or gate 11. They all sit on gate 11 in human design. So I am very Sagittarius. I'm not a Sag rising though, so I lose a little bit of that party girl energy. I'm a lot more grounded having my sun and my moon there. I'm a lot more grounded in Sag energy, in the grounded, optimistic side of Sagittarius. I'm a lot more rooted in that than party girl, uncommitted. But there is a Jupiterian energy to Sagittarius, which is go travel, go explore the world. You don't need to find the ground. Just all you need is your passport, right? And I still kind of live by that. I am always one one foot on either side of stay committed to a serious life, build a business, build a legacy, build a career, and like sell everything and move off into the jungle on a horse. Like I could go either way at any time. Having my son, especially during my Saturn return, taught me that I really do value long-term success. I value long-term planning. I value my family. I value my legacy. I do value those things because I have Venus in Capricorn in the 3rd house. So legacy is huge for me. And I think my Saturn return and specifically Owen really taught me that. But also my son's dad taught me that because we broke up. So then fast forward, Owen's about a year old. He's a little over a year. We went through like a really horrible, horrible time. And I'm really hoping to have Owen's dad on the podcast soon where he can share his story. But essentially he was in a really terrible motorcycle accident and it really rocked our foundation and it really rocked our core as a couple. But even after we broke up, which was literally a month a month after my Saturn return ended, the actual transit ended. So literally like the time I was with my son's dad was my Saturn return. We got together right before it started. We broke up right after it ended. So like that is the power of a Saturn return. It like literally throws you into a washing machine and then you come out a completely different person. But what I learned in my Saturn return was how much I valued certain things and what types of relationships and what did I want to invest into, right? Like I have invested a lot of time and a lot of resources into my co-parenting relationship with Owen's dad. And that's something that my Saturn return taught me is how important that is. I've learned what I actually care about through the eyes of my son. So Owen coming during my Saturn return was the most beautiful embodiment of a Saturn lesson in the 2nd house of Sagittarius that I could have ever received because a lot of Sagittarians avoid commitment and avoid because we're ruled by Jupiter, there's this like always expanding, never stopping to like root down, right? And having like a son during my Saturn return really did teach me the power of grounding myself, the power of commitment, the power of honoring my commitments and sticking true to my value system. Because after my Saturn return ended is when a few years later is like when I got into entrepreneurship and when I started my business. And now I look back on my Saturn return almost 10 years now. And the lessons I learned during that time have shaped and changed the trajectory of my life forever in the most beautiful ways. So all that to be said, that was a lot to be said. All of that to be said, your Saturn return is going to be a time that rocks you. Okay. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, your Saturn return is a bad time. It's a scary time. And yeah, there's a lot of it that's scary. Having a kid and getting pregnant 4 months after I met his dad was scary. And it's coming regardless. Saturn is dad lessons. But like your father loves, not everybody's father loves them, but ideally, in the way it should be, your father who teaches you lessons and sometimes gives you tough love, loves you deeply. My dad taught me hard lessons all the time, but he loved me so much. That is what Saturn is here to do for you. Saturn is here to teach you lessons, and it's not always the caring, nurturing way that like maternal energy does it, but it lasts and it's real and it's so monumental. So if you are someone who has a Saturn in Pisces or a Saturn in Aries, your Saturn return is either happening, just happened, or is about to happen. The best advice I can give you is surrender. Don't try to figure out what it's going to be like, what's going to happen, who's going to come, who's going to go. Because if you would have asked me 6 months before I met my son's dad, if in a year from then I would be almost having his child and like moving in with him and like totally in love, I would have called you crazy. But that's Saturn. You're gonna learn the lessons you have to learn regardless if you go kicking and screaming. It's just like a dad, right? I think of like a kid at Disneyland who's just like having full meltdown, right? Like losing their mind. And dad finally has to get involved, and like dad is like picks them up and throws them over their shoulder, and they're kicking and screaming, but they're still getting in the car. Like the day is done and the dad is putting them in the car. So you can either get in the car calmly and you can be good, or your dad can like throw you over his shoulder and like force you in the car. Either way, you're getting in the car. And that's your Saturn return. Either way, you're going to learn these lessons. Either way, everything that's meant to be happening, and like pay attention to the house that Saturn sits in for you. If it's your 4th house, that's your house of home and roots and family and your emotional inner world. So what home means to you is going to change, and what you value in terms of family is going to change, and it's going to shift dramatically during that time, right? If you have Saturn in the 10th house, your career is about to take a huge shift. Your public image, the way people perceive you, is going to change. It's happening regardless. So the best thing you can do with Saturn, with your Saturn return, is surrender to what could be. Learn the lessons that are coming, because they're coming regardless if you go calm or if you go kicking and screaming. They're coming. And have fun with it. Because actually, if you allow yourself to surrender, it can be one of the most beautiful times. Although my son's dad and I are not still together, he is one of my closest friends. I love him so deeply. He gave me the greatest gift I could ever receive. My son is the best thing that has ever happened to me. And the amount of things I've learned about myself through that period, because of that time in my life, have changed me and have altered my life for the better, for like long term. And I wouldn't change it for the world. There is nothing I would go back and fix, because those are the lessons I needed to learn. And they came at a time when I really needed to learn them and when I was ready to learn them. So happy Saturn return to all those who have just gone through it, going through it, or are about to. And I love you all. I'll see you next week. Bye.